Morning, folks. Welcome to the Safe Australia online meetup. Also, we have folks here from Safe around the world, and I have a feeling we may also have people here from the Safe San Antonio meetup. So that's kind of fun. Global audience today. We are super excited to have Dr. Steve Maynar with us today. I feel the need to call him Dr. Steve. I don't think it's a rule. I think it just is something that I like to do, and it kind of makes him amused. So I think you should actually all just feel like you can join in on that. I don't feel like we should just be me. Dr. Steve is a SAFE fellow and the VP of the framework team, I think, at Scaled Agile. I feel like he's been there forever. I feel like I've known him forever. I'm really excited to have him chatting with us today about AI. I was at the Safe Summit in Berlin in April, where Dr. Steve co-presented with Mick Kirsten a really awesome AI story. And I said, well, could you come and talk to us about AI? Because, you know, Berlin's a long away from here. And he said, not only can I do that, I can give you a bit of an update on how things have progressed since Berlin. I'm like, awesome, so let's go. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Steve. He's going to take questions at the end. You can put your questions into chat as we go, and we will play them back at the end. You'll also be able to raise your hand and ask a question of Dr. Steve at the end as well. And on that note, Dr. Steve, they're all yours.
Fantastic. Thank you, Em. Thanks for the invitation, all the great folks at Pretty Agile. I'm going to share my screen here real quick and get the logistics out of the way. Make sure everybody is seeing everything nicely.
There's your lovely view. We can see that.
Everybody should be seeing the lovely harbor just on Hilton Head Island, where I relocated to. Just off the island, actually. I didn't want to deal with the traffic over the bridge in tourist season, so I'm on the mainland, but frequent the restaurant right there quite often. They have awesome swordfish. All right, with that, hopefully I made everybody hungry. I know I've made myself hungry, so we'll all enjoy a good meal after this is done, so I won't keep you past the allotted time. How's that? As Em said, my name is Dr. Steve Maynar. I have been with Scaled Agile for quite some time. I'm in my 9th year and was with a partner organization for a couple of years before that. So overall, my SAFE journey has been well over a decade, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. Today, we're going to talk about something that might not be in the center sweet spot of what people think of when they think of the Scaled Agile framework, but it's definitely a topic that's on everybody's minds, everybody that I run into, even in my family, my wife, my friends. They know this is kind of what I do, and so I get the texts and the TikTok videos they send me and all the crazy stuff. You'll never believe what I found out today. So it's definitely on everybody's mind, and it's not going away. It's definitely not going away, and it's evolving quickly. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. But today's talk, I really wanted to focus the lens on something more specific than just AI in general, and that is, how is AI going to impact how we work in the future? What's happening now, but also what's around the corner? Scaled Agile, the Scaled Agile framework, the lean and agile process that we've advocated since Dean wrote his book many years ago. It's all about adopting a different way of working. So we're kind of a way of working company. And here comes a new technology that looks to be disrupting now and even more so in the future how people work. So as Em mentioned, when Dr. Mick Kirsten and I were asked to do this keynote in Berlin, we wanted to focus in on this aspect of AI, how it actually affects people, right? We're in the people business. And so we want to make sure that, hopefully we can bring some information, some knowledge, and some encouragement to folks that might be a little unsure about, what is AI, what's it doing, where's it going, and how is it going to impact me? So with that, let's get started. So we opened up with this quote that I ran across many months ago. And if you know Dr. Ng at all, he's a very well-known expert. He's out at Stanford University, and a really prominent thought leader on AI. I was reading something that he had written some time ago, and in it he just said AI is the new electricity, and I thought about that, and it made me think. If you go back in time, I love history. We were just talking before we started about Prague last year and Berlin this year, and I always take time to spend an extra day just so I can go around and see all the historical sites and locations, because that's. And I thought about this quote, and it took me back to the time of Edison. And if you will, just hang with me for a second and think about, if you will, what it must have been like back in the late 1800s into the early 1900s, when, if you were alive, if you're an adult at that time, you didn't know electricity. You would light your house with candles, and you would, ride a horse or a horse and buggy, and electricity just, it wasn't a thing. And then here you hear about through your neighbors, and maybe you're in town and you've heard about, there's something that a new invention. And maybe you heard that up in New York City, we were just talking about somebody up in Manhattan, right? One of the first places that you saw electricity turn into practical use was on the street lights. They replaced the oil lamps in New York City with electric powered lights, right? And so the buzz, the excitement, right? And so, but it's far away, but as time passes, it comes to your town, to your neighborhood, maybe your street lights, and soon it's the first house, and then the next house, and then one day you get it in your house. And what an amazing thing to be able to just flip a switch and there's light. No more lighting candles and all of the mess and things associated with that. And then you find other uses for electricity, and it's just such a breathtaking time in human history when you have this wave of invention. And by the way, it's not just electricity. Soon you'd follow that with the automobile, and not too long after that, the airplane. And so there's just this amazing time. But you know what? Not everyone necessarily looked at that great invention through the same lens. What if your lifetime profession was making those candles, right? You have a different perspective, right? Others were just concerned about some of the fears, right? Electricity, very, very dangerous. If you, again, love history, the big debate between Edison and Tesla, and whether it was going to be, AC or DC current, and one was just so dangerous and was going to electrocute everybody and cause fires and EMF exposure and all kinds of things. So excitement, but also a little trepidation, right? But the reality is the adoption was unstoppable. It was a wave that was going to change humanity. And in fact, of course, we know it did. We don't think about electricity anymore. It's not anything exciting, anything glamorous. We assume it. And when we're without it, it's painful, right? So we put generators on our houses so we don't have to be without it. So the whole point of this little trip into history is that in every instance where the world changes for the better due to some leap forward in technology, there's always going to be those who are going to have a very different perspective, because for them, it's a disruption and it's an impact. It affects their livelihood. not only for them, but for the families that they support as well. So we need to look at these great developments with a little bit of different lens. But that was a long time ago. We might not be able to relate to that innovation, but how about this one? This is a little more recent. Now, of course, I don't know everybody that's on the call and what generation you're from, but I think I can make a pretty safe bet that I'm not the only one tonight or this morning who remembers when this first showed up on your computer at work. I know I remember it vividly. I worked for a small boutique technology consulting company, and internet, we're just starting to learn a little bit about it. And some of the other engineers that I worked with there came to me one day and said, look, we got to install this on your computer. And we started playing with it, and this, again, the snowball started rolling. And I can remember the moment, as I can see it in my mind's eye right now, as I sat at my desk and I started thinking about the possibilities. And I said to myself, this is going to change everything. The world will never be the same after this. And of course, we know how that story played out and how many things that it's unlocked and enabled in our society across the world. New innovation, it's transformative, many things for good, some things for not so good. So we have to take both sides with the innovation. Many of you are familiar with this chart. We included in some of our courses, right? It's Carlotta Perez's work about the patterns of these technological revolutions, and there's a recurring pattern that seems to happen over and over again, where a new, very disruptive invention enters the world. There's this period where everybody gets excited. The hype cycle is going crazy, and there are many competitors. You may or may not be aware that in the early days of the automobile, after Henry Ford, rolled out his amazing invention, there were literally dozens and dozens of automobile manufacturers. Everybody wanted to get in on the action and be an entrepreneur. And so you had lots of companies, but as the capitalist market works, not all those companies made it. Some of the bigger, more successful companies bought the smaller companies, and the market consolidated. And you reach this turning point of some companies make it to the deployment period where this becomes now the de facto standard, and some don't make it, right? And so as Mick and I were preparing our talk for Berlin, we'd had this conversation a few times, and we really hypothesized and shared with the audience there that we believed that, in fact, the advent of AI has ushered in, we believe, a new era. It fits the pattern. Now, interesting enough, Mick actually knows Dr. Perez and has chatted with her about this. She has a different perspective. She sees that this may be an extension of the age of software and digital, but it's a great conversation to have at happy hour. The point is, we're seeing the same pattern. If you're tracking this at all, you're seeing literally hundreds of new ventures based on AI being launched in the market around the world every single day. Use case that you can imagine. If you follow some of the newsletters that I'm going to recommend to you by the end of my talk, you will see this as well. So it follows that installation period pattern. And we're also starting to see some of the consolidation. We're seeing big companies from Microsoft and OpenAI and Google and Amazon and Meta who are starting to gobble up some of those small companies and add their intellectual property into their product mix. And so might we see this same pattern repeat itself that we've seen so many times, where in the age of data and AI, we're in that creative destruction period now, where AI is causing every board in the world. I promise you, if you're a publicly traded company, your board of directors is having this conversation with your executive team, without question. What's your AI strategy? How are you taking advantage of this? How are you keeping up with the competition that may have gotten a jump on you in their adoption of AI? How are you making sure that it's the right investment in AI and not just simply fear of missing out. Lots of very, very pointed questions are being asked about this, and we think that it's probably not going to be too surprising if we reach one of those turning points where the big players are really going to absorb a lot of the small players, and you're going to see a consolidation and a stabilization. At least that's the normal pattern. Here's the problem with that pattern. Which AI are you talking about? For those that also may enjoy history of technology, AI has actually been around since the late 1940s, early 1950s. You watch the movie about the life of Alan Turing. You know that the algorithms, the theory has been around a long time. It was just missing two key ingredients to create the amazing world we see in front of us today. Those two ingredients were massive, massive, massive amounts of data. Well, here comes big data. We have lots of data. We're swimming in our data. And processing power. Welcome the cloud. And more processing power. Processing power is cheap. Data is cheap, or the storage is cheap anyway. And so if you got the data, you got the processing power, and you deploy the algorithms, voila, you have a massive disruption. But the problem is it's evolving now at a pace and a scale that's unlike any previous technological revolution that we've ever seen. And that makes this one different. And so learning about it and being prepared for it is going to be the key to success, both for your own personal, how do I prepare myself for how the ways of working are going to change, and also for our organizations. How can our organizations be prepared for this disruption in the future of work? So that's what we're going to focus on. So the so what. So what's the implication for safe enterprises? We're not here just to talk about it in the abstract. Great minds like Dr. Ng and others can do that. We know this audience cares about what does this do for safe? What does this do to safe enterprises? What about for the professionals? If I'm a Scrum Master, if I'm RT, I'm SPC, I'm an SPCT, I'm a fellow, I'm an executive, that in an enterprise that's adopted safe. What does this mean for us? Well, we think there's nothing but upside and positives if you understand it and you prepare yourself, you educate yourself, and you do some of the things I'm going to recommend. And most importantly, we want our safe friends, our community, our enterprises to lead the way. And I'll share in a minute why I think you all are in a great position to do that, maybe unlike some of the other folks that are out there in the world. So talk about a couple of things first. Let's talk to the enterprises. So if you are representing an enterprise, you're a leader in an enterprise, you are practicing safe, you've adopted safe as your way of developing amazing differentiated products that are technology enabled in the marketplace. And now here comes AI. You're wondering, what's this going to do? How's this going to disrupt us? Are there opportunities it prevents for us? So maybe we can disrupt somebody else. But how does this affect our practice of safe? And how can we leverage this as an enterprise that's adopted it? So I love this quote from Jack Welch. If you're familiar with Jack's tenure as the CEO of General Electric, he said, if the rate of change on the outside of your organization exceeds the rate of change on the inside of your organization, then the end is near. Now, a little dramatic, but I think you get the point. When we enter periods where there's massive disruption, where things are accelerating at a rapid pace, perhaps because of a new breakthrough in technology, and everything is changing rapidly, if we look outside and that's moving at a 200 kilometers per hour, and we're still putting along at 50 kilometers per hour in terms of how we're able to embrace change, to adapt, to learn, to grow, to innovate, then that's not a good combination, right? So there's the forewarning. The pace of change with AI, folks, I promise you, I spend probably anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour every single day, 7 days a week, just keeping up with what changed in the last 24 hours. and the pace is it truly. I've been in business for over 36 years, and I have never seen anything like this through all the different technological waves that I've seen over that time period. And I started just after they retired the punch cards on the mainframe, so that's how long I've been around. And it is different, and we need to be prepared for it, and we can be. That's the good news. So what we're seeing for safe enterprises, let's talk specifically about your practice of safe. If you're thinking about and representing your enterprise, 3 levels of disruption this is going to bring. And it could be good disruption if you embrace it and understand it and take advantage of it. The first level is teams. There is no doubt. In fact, this is kind of where we first saw it land. In the early days in generative AI, as that emerged, and you started hearing some stories from the developer community. There, GitHub Copilot in the beginning was kind of the most common one you would see, and you'd hear these crazy statistics about 30, 40, 50% productivity improvement among the development community. And we're like, that can't be right. As we learned more and more about what they were doing and what this tool could offer them, it started to make sense. Yeah, you've got intelligence here that can work infinitely faster with certain patterns, and code is structured. Code follows patterns. So unlike some of the other applications of generative AI, this was one that it was just made for. It's not perfect. And one of the pieces of research that we did last year sort of uncovered the fact that for mid to senior level developers, that 30 to 40 to 50% productivity was very consistent. For brand new junior developers, what we found was it actually made it worse for them. They got slower. Why? They didn't yet have the experience and the knowledge to be able to look at something that the AI recommended and immediately know, yeah, not going to take that recommendation. That's not good, because AI is not perfect, right? It's not perfect yet. And sometimes it will recommend something that is just nonsense. A senior developer will know that in an instant and learns quickly to take the things that are really good and set aside the things that are just not so good. So it's the combination of the human, the experience, and the power of the technology together. Powerful combination, right? That's what we're seeing happen to the team. Started with the developers, but it's extended beyond the developers, and now you're finding team members of all types of disciplines, whether you're in design, whether you're in systems engineering, whether you're in hardware, even for roles like Scrum Masters and product owners and RTEs, when you're LPM, if you're in the executive suite, we're finding all types of roles are benefiting from this technology, no matter what kind of team you happen to be on. I'll give you some examples here in just a minute. We're also seeing that there's opportunities in the value stream. Now, Mick talked about this a lot. If you're familiar with Mick and his company and his work on flow, he's the author of the book Project to Product. So very value stream focused. There are things that we can do at the value stream level, at the portfolio level, to understand. How do we make sure we're making the right bets, the right investments that connect strategy to execution? How do we know where things are flowing in the value stream and where there's bottlenecks? This technology can find patterns that's just much more difficult for humans to find, not the speed that the technology is able to do. So just think about some of the typical challenges in understanding what the best configuration for a value stream might be. Well, what if the AI can examine the backlog in your ALM, the roster from your human resources system, the communications patterns from email, Slack, other types of things, the systems you have in your environment from your CMDB, whether that's ServiceNow or whatever it might be, put all of that together and tell you what the real value stream is around a particular solution based on the patterns of human behavior and data and work organization. Science fiction? No. One member of our SAFE community who's pretty well known and has spoken at our conference, actually his company wrote that a year ago. Yeah. So great possibilities, great opportunities, disruption, yes, but benefit, absolutely. And then source again at the portfolio level. What is our organizational design? What are investment allocations? What's the right horizons of investment? All the things that LPM is concerned about. Absolutely, we're seeing lots of innovation out there. Some among our safe community of partners. We have some amazing partners. I meet with one about every other week and seeing what they're rolling out in terms of AI capabilities. Of course, we're working on some even at Scaled Agile with with our that we acquired through piplanning.io. So huge opportunities. It will be disruptive. It will change the way you work, but I promise you, you'll be glad you did, because what we want to see is that the additional productivity, that 20, 30, 40, 50% productivity, is not so you can turn around and reduce your staff. It's so that you can free the human beings from the toilsome, tedious, time-consuming tasks that a computer can do better, and apply their creativity and things that only humans can do to really benefit the company, to be more innovative, to spend more time with customers and really understanding how can we be more competitive in the marketplace, optimizing our human talent. A lot of places to redirect that energy. And again, it's people times machines, not people versus machines, and it's not machines replacing the people. So the question is your organization ready? Well, we're getting a lot of press around that development example, and because they were the early adopters, our technical teams. But let's think about the value stream process. Think about the business agility value stream. Just think about from concept to cash. There are so many other parts of that process that aren't the coding product or coding part. That is all part of that process to get value out to a customer. What other parts of the process are you considering AI as a way to optimize and leverage those other pieces of the process? Right? That's the question we want our enterprises to engage in, because it's not just the developers. Right? Of course, this is one of Mixed Charts. This is a study that they did. It's 8% of the effort. 8% of the effort to bring a new product is the coding piece. All right. Well, there's a lot more opportunity there than just writing faster lines of code. Right. So that's what we want to encourage our enterprises to do, is look for those opportunities across the enterprise to leverage this technology. And I promise you, the opportunities are everywhere. All right. All right. Not too much more about that, because to go too much further, we would really have to dive down into the weeds about how do you build AI-enabled products. We do have a little bit of guidance around that in the framework, and we'll talk about where we're going with it next before I wrap up here. Let's shift our focus on how does this really change for the we get it. Enterprises are going to have to change how they're doing things. Well, what about me? What about me as an individual? What do I need to change? There's something that this can do to help me. Well, many of you may have. This is about this time is when people looked really closely at this graphic in Berlin and started chuckling at the robot AI SPC teaching. Probably implementing SAFe here. I actually asked our graphics team if they could somehow put one of the slides from implementing or leading up on the screen there in the background, and we just never quite pulled that off. But we hear these conversations, right? It's the chatter on social media and in the evening news, right? Is AI going to replace me in my job? And I've thought about that. I know we've had those conversations around our office. Well, remember, it is, as we said earlier, it is true. Go back to the candle maker. In every previous technological revolution, there is going to be change. There are going to be some people where the work just evolves, right? There's not too many stagecoach craftsmen in the world anymore, right? There just aren't. Just like the candle makers. So, my first admonition is then, well, have some self-awareness. If you're in one of these career fields that are already being impacted by AI, where you see that AI can just do certain tasks infinitely better than a human can do. If you're not preparing yourself, if you're not finding how you're going to evolve and upskill your value into a different direction that still only humans can do, you may get an unpleasant surprise. And that was really the whole thrust of what the message that Mick and I wanted to bring to the audience is, look, there's real opportunity here. There's really real opportunity for you to learn, to embrace this, to learn how the combination of what only you can do as a human with your understanding and mastery of this technology together, you'll have job security for as long as you want it, right? Because not everybody has that. Not everybody spends the time to learn it and become proficient in it. So here's the point. We don't believe that AI will replace you. As Zane Khan, who is the CEO of one of the companies that puts out one of the newsletters I follow, it's not that AI is going to replace you. It's that a person who is using AI will. That's the real threat. If you refuse to grow and evolve and learn, then you could be lapped by others who will. So the good news, this is infinitely accessible. It's something that anyone can start their learning journey tonight if you haven't already. And we'd certainly encourage you to do that. So the good news is you've got this. We know you can. The tools are out there. The guidance is out there. We live in an instant information age where anything you ever want to learn about any of these technologies, you can probably get it in 2 seconds from YouTube or TikTok or the social media of your choice. You don't have to wait. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars. Get started, find a place, find a way to apply this to your work. So we're going to give you some, as we wrap up, some examples of how you can apply this to jobs that you have in SAFE. Right? So how can AI help individual members of an Agile team? Certainly, we talked about the code writing, but you don't have to be a coder to use this. It can improve your writing. On the framework team, we create lots of words. That's what the framework is now. It'll be a little different in the future, but for now, it's lots of words. We use Grammarly religiously all the time. And some of the things we're talking about that we shared in Berlin about what's coming in the future with the Scaled Agile framework and trying to address some of the challenges people have with the level of complexity and the level of writing of some of our articles. Grammarly has a very powerful AI tool built into it, and we are leveraging the heck out of it to help us learn how to write differently, to make our writing more accessible, more translatable to different languages, more consumable. So it's not it's not an MBA just to go and learn how to implement SAFE. We want you to have just what you need, just when you need it, just enough to get the job done that you need to do today. And AI is helping us learn how to do that. It can also help you learn how to write a great email or marketing copy or any number of things. It'll help you build a personalized learning plan. You can go to ChatGPT, give it a problem, give it who you are, what you're trying to learn, the time frame, any information you want to give it, and it'll lay out a personalized plan for what you need to learn, how to develop that skill, how much time it's going to take you, where are the resources. Powerful. I think I saw somebody brought their AI meeting summary bot into our meeting tonight. Good job. I was so excited to see that. Yeah. The toilsome meeting notes and take, the scribing. Yeah, you don't have to do that anymore. It'll capture everything that was said, give a summary, identify the action items and who committed to it and deadlines and decisions. Does it all automatically. How cool is that? And of course, yes, it does help our coders. It does help our designers. We use product Figma. It's just a design tool. It's got amazing AI capabilities now that help our designers. We have a designer on our team, Risa. She's amazing. She's wonderful. She's doing all kinds of mock-ups for our future interface to SAFE and able to do them so quickly. And it's beautiful. And lots of help from AI in that process, but it doesn't take away. She's able to bring her creativity that only humans have, and the toilsome work of sketching everything out, the AI can make that job a lot faster. How about like Scrum Master team coaches? Yeah, they're finding some great assistance out there. How do you organize and plan and execute great meetings? How many people just love to go to meetings? Right? Oh, can you give me some more meetings? I just don't have enough of them on my calendar. Well, facetious, of course, but why are meetings such a bane of our existence? Because they're often not well organized and not well run. And so Scrum Master being the coach of our teams, they can provide great assistance to teams with finding how to optimize and make the most of every meetings, only have the meetings that we need. How can they do that? AI can help. Right? Team health and performance insights. Now, some of these capabilities are going to start drifting into things that you may not be able to just fire up an instance of ChatGPT and get, because you're going to need to have some access to your data. And we're going to talk about how you're going to get to that. But if you got the right tools and access to the data, yeah, there are some amazing capabilities that vendors are providing to dig deep into the data and anticipate and find, well, did you know that? Oh, wow, that's an insight. I didn't catch that. And then you as the human can go have a conversation and chase that down, maybe help a team that's struggling. Predictive impediment identification. We don't have a bottleneck in flow yet, but if this train keeps going down this track, one's a coming. What a powerful tool to anticipate that and be able to address it before you actually hit the bottleneck. How powerful could that be? And of course, many of you, if you haven't heard, we've been exploring and learning how this AI world is going to impact our company, and have released our own generative AI chatbot type of tool, Save Copilot. And basically what that is that's like a ChatGPT or a Gemini or a Claude, if you're familiar with those tools, but trained on known good canon of the Scaled Agile framework. Now, is it perfect? Nope, not always, but guess what? It's a process. And if you develop any of these kinds of tools, you'll learn quickly that you can't just write it and release it. You have to manage it and maintain it and continue to train it. I sit on a review board every single week where we look at responses that our tool has given to a user that wasn't so great, and we figure out why did it do that and how can we add training, how can we tweak it to make sure it doesn't do that again. So over time, it just gets better. And of course, collaboration tools, if you use something like a Miro, or one of those tools, we use that all the time, where you've got a board full of stickies and you try to affinity map it and it takes forever. And is this one like that one? Well, guess what? Miro with its AI power can do that in, like about 10 seconds. And its grouping is really darn good. Not perfect, but really darn good. It's a 90+% solution. Those are the kinds of things that a Scrum Master, the tasks they do every single day, AI is absolutely something. If you're a Scrum Master and you're not using AI, you're just behind. That's all I can say. You're behind. How about RTEs? A lot of the same capabilities, but for the train, right? Predictive blocker identification, performance insights in the art, just a fractal of same thing at the team. Dynamic risk assessment, the way we're going, are we going to run into a problem? Retrospective analysis. Feedback collection analysis. At the end of PI planning, you get all that feedback and you're trying to assess the learnings and take that into, well, now you can do more than just collect them. You can quickly group them, assess them, and the tool can actually extract the learnings, like the key insights that would be actionable to take into next PI planning. Those capabilities are there today. How about product managers? Goes to some other roles. Can AI help product managers? Oh boy, can it. And if you're on the internet at all looking around, you have probably had your inbox filled, or at least your LinkedIn feed filled with course after course, webinar after webinar about how AI can help product managers. Now, some of that is people jumping on the bandwagon, but it is also very, very real. Market and competitive analysis. I'm going to give you an example of one here in a little bit, just to illustrate how powerful this can be. Feature prioritization. Given a set of variables and factors, which features coming into backlog refinement into PI planning should be like weighted shortest job first? Watch out, AI is after your job, right? Customer feedback synthesis, right? Anybody that's done any kind of research, you do interviews, you do focus groups, voice of customer, lots and lots of feedback. Very toilsome without technology to parse it, dissect it, find the patterns, find the key insights. AI can do that for you in a fraction of the time. Dynamic roadmap generation. If you feed the right data, set up your features correctly, you don't have to go through the, let's build a manual PowerPoint version of our roadmap. It can do that for you. Market readiness analysis, all these great capabilities, and so many more than what I have here. So product folks, yep, you've got a whole menu of things that can help you, and new tools coming out every single day. How about portfolio leaders? Just go through these quickly. Strategic alignment analysis, lean budget optimization. Lean budgets are tough. Well, tools are coming online that's going to help that tremendously. I already mentioned automated value stream identification, bringing lots of different data sources together and finding patterns that would take humans forever to find. Epic generation and validation. Struggling with defining an epic? Yeah, it can help with that. How about advanced analytics for performance tracking? Again, when you're looking at epic size things, the amount of data, the scope of the data that you have at that scale, how do you make sense of it? How do you get from massive seas of data to critical information that decision makers can use to decide, do we choose this epic over that epic? Do we reorganize our value streams to reallocate resources? Are horizons of planning healthy for the particular industry that we're in? Those are all great questions that AI can help you with. What about our executives? Well, let's not leave them out. They are humans too. They are people too, and they may not see them through that lens all the time, but trust me, they need help just like anybody else. Insights for strategic decisions, incredibly powerful. I'm going to give you an example on the next slide of one that I used, and it's a live example. Enhanced communication. Executives have to communicate all the time, sometimes about tough things. And so how to communicate effectively with clarity, with succinctness, with empathy. If that's not a natural skill, you can get a consultant, but you know what? You can put this power in your hands too. The tools are there. Meeting summarization, action tracking, already mentioned that. Risk management, scenario analysis, a lot of what if capabilities. You can give it a basic set of information, and you can feed a lot of information into these tools as a backdrop. And then you say, now, given that set of information, we're going to run some scenarios and then have it help you think through some different options that you have to be you might be wrestling with. And again, personalized learning and development, I think is maybe even more important for executives because they're usually the ones left out of the training calendar. Everybody assumes that by the time you get to be an executive, you've already learned everything you need to know, or you wouldn't be an executive in the first place. And so they're a little bit shy about saying, yeah, I could actually use some training on this. Well, guess what? They can build their own training and they get access to their own information to help them on their personalized learning journey. So I want to share with you a prompt just to illustrate the power of this. This is one, I changed it just a little bit, but we were doing some strategic planning at Scaled Agile, and I built a prompt like this. So I gave it our company name so it could go into its training data and find us. There's lots of information out there about Scaled Agile. Pointed it to our website where it could suck up even more information, gave it some specific trends, our industry, what we saw as our strengths, but we also wanted it to help us identify both the opportunities and threats that we might be facing and help us build a sort of a summarized strategic playbook. And what I got back from this prompt was stunning. It was pretty amazing and prompted thinking that I had not considered. hadn't heard in our executive conversations, and some of the answers that I got from that prompt, as you maybe watch the keynotes from Berlin, hopefully you can join us at the DC Summit or Sorrento next year. You will see some of the very things that came out of this prompt reflected in some of the product strategies we have going forward as a company. It's powerful. It's very, very powerful. Executives love it. Now, a couple of quick points, and then I'll wrap it up and take questions. One of the trends that's happening is we started with ChatGPT. You know, all this power, but you had to learn how to write just the right prompt, right? Entire courses on clever prompt engineering. Here's the good news. The world is changing quickly. I told you it's evolving very, very fast. What you're going to see happen is that all the tools that you know and love and use already are going to have more and more AI-powered features built right into them. You don't have to write a prompt. You just have to use the apps and the tools you're comfortable with, you've always used. Again, if you're paying any kind of attention, you may have watched the big Apple launch that happened just about almost a month ago now about AI's or Apple's investment in AI, the Apple experience, right? Not making you use a prompt, just the same apps that you know, your photos, your calendar, all those kinds of things, but with some amazing capabilities built in. So the kinds of drag and drop and tap sort of user interfaces we've become accustomed to, the AI is going to be tucked away nicely behind those, so we don't have to worry about clever prompts anymore. So if you're in an organization, be curious. Ask. If you don't know, chase down your IT people. They love to be chased down. Just ask one. But ask, you know, hey, you know, we use Salesforce, we use Microsoft, what are the AI capabilities that they are bringing to market, and are we licensing them? Are we using them? We need this productivity boost. And what do we got to do to get our company to consider those things? So the learning curve is dropping dramatically because it's just going to be built into the tools we know and love. So the question I have for you tonight, or if you're watching this on a recording later, that's fine. Are you ready? What are you doing to prepare yourself for this brave new world? If your answer is, I haven't really done much here, been pretty busy, time to get started, right? We can help you with that. So with Safe 6.0, you may know that we released a set of articles describing what does it mean to have a competency, a real competency in this as a company. We talked about 3 specific things: an AI augmented workforce, and that's really what I've been talking about tonight. How do we unleash and unlock and empower our human talent to leverage this capability to reduce the toil, to reduce the repetitiveness, and free up that time for things that only humans can do? The creativity, the innovation that can really make a difference in the company. That's the guidance around an AI augmented workforce. Our own Safe Copilot product is designed to be a part of that. If you're working in Safe, something that can help you get fast answers about things that you may not see written exactly in the article, but ask it a tough question. It's going to tap into that knowledge that it has about Safe and hopefully give you a pretty intelligent answer to help you solve your problem that you're curious about. AI-enabled solutions. How do we build AI products? Our companies have got to get good at that, and it's not just like any other piece of software. Trust me, we've learned through developing our own. It's a different animal. It's a competency you have to develop. It's a whole different architecture. Architectural runway is different. Your CI/CD pipeline has elements to it that may be different. So if you're not on that journey, you need to get there, because everybody's going to know what kind of AI capabilities does your product have. And then responsible AI. You've seen the very embarrassing moments probably in the news. Your company doesn't want to be there. So responsible AI is serious. If you're in the EU, you know it's really, really serious because you actually have something called the EU Act, EU AI Act. So they're going to hold you accountable if your AI goes rogue as a company. So you got to make sure you have those bases covered. We actually believe so strongly in that, we created a course around it. and released a new article around it. So if you haven't visited the AI article lately, go check it out. In the responsible AI section, there's a new responsible AI article clickable from in there. So check out that guidance, but also check out a brand new course that we will be releasing GA this PI around how to achieve responsible AI with SAFe. There are some things SAFe will help you with on your responsible AI journey. So more coming. Be prepared, buckle up. It's changing fast. Stay up with it though. If you go into Safe Studio, into the forums, we have an artificial intelligence safe forum. That QR code will take you right there. At the top, you'll see a pinned post where I put a list of newsletters that I subscribe to. I read them every single day that will keep you up to speed. You'll seem like the smartest AI person in your company. Like, how did he learn so much? How did she learn so much about AI? Well, the secret is he just subscribed to the newsletters that Steve put at the top of the forum post. And it makes you look really, really smart. No, there's some great information, and I think you'll find it useful if you at least check in with it a few times a week. With that, that's all I have to share. I'll be happy to answer questions with whatever time we've got left.
Thank you so much, Dr. Steve. Thank you for the plug for responsible AI. You can get early access through prettyagile.com. Just sort of throw that out there. So a few questions in the chat for you. First one, Dr. Steve, when do you expect AI to completely automate the process of safe agile project management?
So I think there's a lot that it will automate. Let's just be clear, and especially if you really get into this and you see what's coming around the corner, you see what's coming next. So as we move from the current state we're in into AGI and beyond, yeah, there's a whole lot of tasks that it's going to be able to do for us. But I don't look at it as running the whole process. I look at it as how is it freeing us up to do even more? I mean, the human self-actualization that we can realize through this. I mean, the possibilities are really kind of mind-boggling if you really get into it and see what capabilities could be in our future. So I think it's not a matter of our roles or the framework being irrelevant. We're working very hard. I'm a big part of that in our company because I'm very passionate about it. We're already thinking about 2 or 3 steps ahead how we're going to continue to be relevant and help our customers and our say professionals evolve as this technology causes the world around us to evolve. So will it look different? Yeah, it will. Is it still going to be valuable and useful to have these common ways of working and the knowledge base and training and a community? Yeah. We'll go through it together.
Thanks, Dr. Steve. One more. We look at your prompts there on the strategy. Would this prompt be a concern of leaking company IP on a public ChatGPT or other LLM?
Great question. Give that person a gold star because that thinking about responsible AI. Let me back up to that. There we go. Yep, it certainly could. That's why I said this is something that you would want to take. I will use this as an example because if I made it completely abstract, it'd be hard to really understand the example. But there are ways to have this kind of power in your organization. Hopefully, your technology folks are up to speed and know how to build access to large language models inside of your organization and do it in such a way that the privacy and security aspects of responsible AI are covered. It's a technical solution, but once you have that in place, you can tap into the power of these large language models, but do so inside the sort of the safety of your perimeter without letting the wrong information leak out. Unfortunately, the Samsung folks learned that the hard way, if you remember that from about a year ago. But the tech is there. It's possible. You just got to have smart people that do the right engineering, the right architecting, to unlock that capability so that you can, in fact, not only have a prompt like this, but then you can also take advantage of the fact that inside the wall, you can give it access to lots of data that you have inside your organization that can make its answers incredibly pointed, looking at your product, your financial data, all kinds of information inside the wall that you wouldn't get just by going out to ChatGPT. And if that's concerning, you don't have that yet, you can genericize the prompt. So you're not necessarily giving it proprietary information. You can describe a general situation of a company in this market facing XYZ and still get a lot of the same insights.
Thank you again, Dr. Steve. Have you got time for one more?
I have all the time you want to give me, Ian.
Have you seen a use case yet where a tool AI could take flow metrics and create insights, a narrative, and perhaps predictive flow scenarios?
Yeah, absolutely. I would suggest you pick up the phone and call Mick and his company at Planview. He and I did a webinar maybe what was in May, so it was a month after Berlin. And in that webinar, we did a little bit of this same front end, but on the back end, instead of describing what could be done, we did demonstrations. So I demoed with, say, Copilot, and he demoed with the AI that they're building into Planview. And it was exactly around that. So they're a partner company, so we would gladly promote all of our wonderful partners. They are one. I'm sure other partners have other similar capabilities, and we would encourage you to investigate them all.
Awesome. I think we exhausted the question set, and we are over time. So I'm not going to, ask for more questions because I know we're standing between you and the end of your day, Dr. Steve. But thank you again for coming and sharing with us this morning, your evening. Really interesting. Lots of great comments in the chat, and thanks to you for the insights, Dr. Steve. And hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon.
I would be glad to come anytime. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful Tuesday or Monday, I think, if you're in Steve's part of the world. And we will see you all again soon. Thanks, folks.